Hi, welcome to the National Queen's Choice Online News. I'm Robin Stienberg. Welcome to my show again. And today we have a very interesting company to introduce to you to the world, and that is known as Playlor. That's right. And today we have the founder and CEO, Mr. Felix Sim, who founded this company not too long ago, and has made a great impact in Southeast Asia and perhaps soon to the world. And what we're going to do is that we're going to find out from Felix how he founded this company, and make it a great success through fun and play. Felix, welcome to my show.
Thank you very much.
And I like your logo, and especially the name Playlor. Is that a Singlish word?
It's a play between the proper English word and the Singlish slang. Yeah. We came up with the name Playlor because initially we were looking for a domain name, just simply a .com name with the word play in it. And unfortunately, play anything is actually lost and taken by somebody else. So the only permutation I could come up with was law, which happens to be an English slang as well. So that's how we came up with the name. And then at the same time, of course, when I started the company, I had the intention to grow it internationally. So we basically wanted to have a Singaporean feel to the name as well in the event that we grow.
Well, folks, we're in the middle of an island somewhere in Singapore, and of course, as you can hear, there's tons of great aviation activity around. Does this usually happens around this time?
It normally happens actually most of the time because we are in the southeastern part of Singapore. So this is the place where they do a lot of exercises. Let's just go it that way.
That's okay. Well, here at Playlor, as you know, it's pretty very active, and one of our questions from our readers is that, how did you came up with this concept Playlor and make it a success story for an entrepreneur like yourself?
Well, mainly Playlor was the first concept that we came up with for Playlor was quite different from what we are doing today. Initially, the concept was to create a platform for recreational sportsmen to play and socialize and have fun over sport. And then, we obviously push forward towards that, and we have done a number of events to help people socialize through sport. And then, in the process, we were then approached by a lot of companies who wanted us to do corporate events for them using the very same concept that we have designed for the public. So now we are more tuned towards corporate-focused events or events designed for corporates and companies, whilst at the same time still embarking on the initial concept of being a platform for recreational sportsmen and women.
Now, how was your humble beginnings like when you first started Playlor?
Well, as you can see around here, this place is relatively big. It's about 16,000 square feet. So everything that you actually see here was actually put together by basically our own two hands. So that was how tough it was when you talk about building a company. Excuse me. We literally had to build it from scratch. We obviously, when we first started, we did not have over 7,000 fans on Facebook. We didn't have more than 50,000 subscribers to our mailing list. So, marketing and getting the word out that we are here is the toughest thing. People like the name and they love the brand, but they really didn't know what we do because this concept is so new in Singapore. So we had to actually tell people what we do, and then we had to go down to basics to explain. We literally had to go down to every single basketball court and futsal court around Singapore to tell them that we are here. So it was very, very tough at the beginning.
Now, speaking about tough beginnings, I heard some rumors, but I'd like to get it from you. Who was I will not want you to name your customer, but when you got your first customer, what was your first experience like?
What was our first experience like? When we got our first corporate customer?
Yes.
It was a bit of, actually a lot of risk-taking. Because being our first customer, we obviously did not have the practical experience of organizing corporate events as Playlor. Even though as individuals, we obviously have our own individual experiences. So there was a bit of risk that we took when we took on the first customer. But basically the customer wanted to just rent our place and then use it for their own event and organize it themselves. And so we put our head together and we said to ourselves, look, as Playlor, we did not have experience as a company to organize corporate focused events, but even though as individuals we did. So we thought, just put everyone's experiences together, and with basically our heads put together, we thought of a concept which we can deliver to the client. So we took a risk to offer our services to the client, and at the same time the client took a risk on us as well. So even though we did not have the experience, we managed to deliver a perfect event to the customer. So
you didn't lie, though, I suppose.
we did not lie. To be honest, I wouldn't even go as far to say that we told any white lies, because we did share with the customer that as a company, we were relatively new to the corporate events and the corporate team building business. But the truth was, we organized a lot of public events, or events for individuals, for public, and they have work. They work in companies, right? So then they come to us and they say, look, why don't you, whatever you're doing is extremely suitable for the corporate client. So why not just do the same thing for companies? So in fact, it's actually the same thing. It's just that we haven't organized, a proper full corporate event for companies prior to our first.
So how important was your beginnings at Playlor? You first formed a company, and when you have to create a new set of strategies. What was the first day of owner of your business? Was it got to do with getting a good talented pool of people to work with you, as well as you had to probably present a great plan and raise some kind of capital to make Playlor a very attractive brand? What kind of strategies did you put in place?
The interesting thing is that there was no precedence to this concept or to this business, so it was really tough at the beginning, even before we started anything, because I had to put a concept together, combining bits and pieces around from other businesses around the world. So putting the concept together was one thing. Obviously, picking what I love doing is the main thing, which is sport and obviously business, and getting people to socialize through a medium. In this case, we picked sport. The first thing that I actually did was to convince myself that this business would work, because spending 4 years in Dubai and living that type of lifestyle is very different from what we are doing here now, where you literally had to build a company from scratch using your own two hands. So I needed to convince myself that the business would work, and the business will grow, and there is opportunity for scale regionally and globally. So once I've convinced myself, I found convincing others much easier. So I obviously picked up the phone and spoke to a few friends in Dubai, most of them Singaporeans, but I have a Kuwaiti partner. I also have a British partner in the business as well. So I managed to convince them to be partners in the business, based on a concept, nothing more than a concept. And obviously the track record that I have as a business person in the past couple of years. So after convincing them, and they've decided to join me in this business, I then had to put together a team who could help to start the business and help to basically get things started. I wouldn't say that my priority was to put together a talented team, because again, sport is an industry where a talented sportsman may not be a talented businessman, or may not be able to deliver what clients will want, just because they are a talented basketball player or a talented football player does not mean that they are suitable to be in this business. So the initial handful of staff that I had was picked through friends and friends' recommendation. So we just got them together. I just shared with them my plan, and obviously I had a step-by-step process and things to do that we needed to do when we started. So they just had to execute it. So that was tough as well. Picking people and then wondering whether they are the right people or not. But interestingly, the pioneer batch who were with us, who are no longer with us today. So we've had a turnover of staff over the last year or so.
Oh wow, that's fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough business. People on the outside look and see, well, we're all glam and all fun and all great. But you don't see behind the scenes what actually goes into getting things done, putting things together. It's very easy to put a concept on paper, deliver it to client, and sell it to a client, really. But actually delivering and exceeding their expectations is really tough. There is a lot of work behind the scenes, and obviously putting in that amount of work and delivering a successful event will guarantee that you have a high level, of octane, right? So it's just tough. So not everyone can be in this business.
So now, speaking about not everybody can be in this business, I heard earlier you said that you had a great experience back in Dubai. And what do you major in? I heard was it economics or something?
It was actually finance, and it was financial advisory and regulatory advice that I gave in Dubai. So we worked with governments, we worked with multinationals, mostly banks and other financial institutions, to advise them on their business startup in Dubai and the rest of the Middle East. We also worked with investors as well as businessmen to pair them together and to create basically financial structures that gave a win-win outcome to both parties. Yeah.
So now you decided to have fun and play instead of being in the financial sector.
Yeah, I mean it's a different industry, but I still honestly believe that the concept is it's quite the same. In order for me to have started and grown that business together with a partner in Dubai, we needed to socialize. We needed to get people to come together with us and with each other, and that at that time that that medium happens to be just drinks, lunches, and dinners. In this case, it's just sport, right? So it's not really that different in terms of the principle of the business, but obviously in terms of medium and in terms of delivery, it is quite different.
Now, talking about corporate bonding, how important was or is still for you in terms of innovation and creativity? Innovation and creativity are one of the most important and key factors for your business, especially. Is innovation and creativity changing in this business? And what do you foresee sports tomorrow here in Southeast Asia?
I think the reason why sports has not picked up specifically in Singapore, and that's just my opinion, is because everyone has been using the copy and paste model. Unfortunately, they have been copying and pasting from their neighbors right here in Singapore. I think most sport entrepreneurs in Singapore don't have a very global mindset, or not even a regional mindset. They are, in my opinion, again, easily satisfied, and so that does not challenge them to think more and to really push the envelope to be leaders in the industry, and as you mentioned, to be continually creative and innovative. At Playlor, I think and believe that is the only way to go, and literally the only way to grow the business. Since 2000, our government has been pushing for Singapore to be a knowledge-based economy, and being knowledge-based obviously means you focus more on being intellectually strong as opposed to physically and manpower strong, right? So we in the last year have innovated. We haven't invented new sports, but we have found the least popular sports, but what we think are upcoming sports, such as dodgeball or even human futsal or human foosball, sorry, and push that out to the industry and to the community, and even to our corporate clients as well. And we start to push it out, and we start to get more people interested in those sports. With regard to corporate team building or team development activities, once again, the global industry has been a copy and paste industry. People just take 10-year-old concepts. It's not a new industry, so people just take old concepts and can't be bothered to to tweak it or to innovate or to come up with new concepts just because those work, right? I think the reason for that is because clients tend to are ready to pay money for anyone who comes to them to say that they are a team building or a team development company, and they can't be bothered to really dive into details to see what activities will be delivered to them. If the provider shares with them the list of activities, and if it is something that the customer recognizes, they would just say, yeah, I mean, do you have anything else? And the answer would probably be, no, these are the best ones, they've been tried and tested, they work. So why go against the flow as a customer? You would just say, great, let's do it, let's take it because it works. They won't be reprimanded for taking a risk to try out new activities. So that spoils the industry, because then people in our industry or other team building companies would then say, why bother coming up with new stuff? We should just concentrate on selling our existing activities and just make money, right? So people don't care.
Now, speaking about innovation and creativity itself, how is Playlor going to be set aside differently from all the other team building companies? And how do you tend to see Playlor as a leading team building company, probably in Southeast Asia or in Asia?
I think the main thing to do is to get the fundamentals correct. When people mention about team building, there are a lot of misconceptions. Team building typically is for a new team who's just formed to come together to do an activity, so you can start forming the team. We have clients who's come to us who says, look, I have a company, we've been together for the last 5-6 years, this team, and we want to do team building activities. But it's not actually team building, because it's just an oxymoron. Your team is already built and you've been working together for 5-6 years, and now you want to do a team building activity with the same team. So, it's not quite right. So what we tend to talk to clients is then, we say, obviously, it's not team building you're looking for, it's team development that you're looking for, it's team performance activities that you are looking for. So then we recommend activities that are more tuned towards the requirements of their team. Most of the times, clients don't know what they want. We need to understand, as a team building consultant, understand what the client is trying to tell us, and not just take what the client is telling us and then just selling them a package, right? So all our consultants are trained to understand the fundamentals of what team building or team development actually is, what the differences are, and then delivering the right program to the clients. We plan to continue to be industry leaders in innovative team building activities by firstly understanding the fundamentals, as I mentioned, but secondly also getting inspiration from TV shows, from reality TV series, from TV game shows, from what we read on the papers, from storybooks, from anything that we can think of, from movies even, and trying and just seeing what they are doing on TV, what they are doing in a movie, and whether or not that can be applied, whether or not we can apply the fundamentals to those activities and make it a reality, make it a real team development or a team building activity.
Oh, that sounds a challenge. Now, about your style of getting staff and so on, which style is better? Do you actually hire your team from the very beginning and give them a commission base or a salary?
We have two main departments or teams in our business. We have the client-facing team and the back office or the operations team. Everyone gets a basic salary because everyone needs money to survive, right? So we tend not to call it a salary, we call it an allowance, which is just enough for them to come to work, to survive, to go out for dinner and drinks with their friends occasionally, but certainly not enough for them to open their first Moe shop. The client-facing team is also driven by commissions or by sales, the amount of sales that they bring in, as with all sales-based jobs. But at the same time, I make the decision to whether or not to propose programs to clients. So our client-facing team cannot propose a program to a client, regardless of the amount of money that contract is worth, without my final approval. Because if I were to just let them propose anything that they want, then being a typical, they would become a typical salesman as opposed to a team building consultant, and they would just try and sell anything and everything, and then we would go backwards as opposed to move forward. Right. So I still make the final call whether or not we should propose this specific program to a client. And of course, the clients then come back and then they make certain changes and whatnot, which the consultant will then manage. But I make the final call to prevent them from mis-selling programs to clients. The operations team do not get sales commissions, of course, but they get what we call event bonuses. So event bonuses are determined based on how well they have planned and executed the event, and also on client feedback. So if they get a good, if they plan it well, and the event is executed very, very smoothly, and the client is very satisfied with the event execution, then the operations team gets a nice event bonus as well to reward them for obviously their hard work.
I understand. But let's go back from the very beginning. When you first start out Playlor, do you pay all your staff commissions first?
Not at all. Everyone got a fixed salary from day one.
Oh really? Wow,
yeah.
That's a big risk.
Yeah.
But most companies will not do that, I think.
I think it's a risk if you're talking about entrepreneurs starting up and then getting people to work on a commissions base or a success base, on a success only basis as we call it in finance. And it says a lot of things. It says many things about the entrepreneur and about the business, in my opinion. The first thing it says about the business is that it's not properly funded, which obviously means that whoever joins that company has a high risk of not lasting past a certain amount of months or a certain amount of years. With that level of risk, I think it is very difficult to attract talent or attract the right people for a start. Not everyone would want to take that amount of risk, as you know. Talented people, if they're really talented, they would probably end up starting their own. So it's tough to as a startup to attract people to join you based on just a success basis only model. So I still believe that you need to pay them a basic salary to ensure that they actually come to work, and actually do their work. On the other hand, we are at a stage in our business where we have done a lot of branding, we have done a lot of marketing, to the point where when we mentioned that we are Playlor, and we need people to come join us for certain events, or we need them to come and volunteer to help us do a charity event, for example, which we have not done but we're planning to do. We would quite readily get a lot of volunteers to come and work for us for no pay, just because we've done the branding right, and we have told the community who we are, what we stand for. We stand for fun, we stand for creativity, we stand for opportunity for all. I built Playlor to become a platform for anyone who thinks that they can contribute and benefit from to readily join us. Our door is always open, as I like to say. So having built the brand now, I think we can then expect some people to come and work on a voluntary basis, or maybe even on a success-only basis. But when we were first starting, that has never come across my mind.
Wow. Now, how did you actually build your base from Facebook and your email list? Do you actually buy them, or did you actually get friends and associates to join you?
For Facebook, it's really just doing a lot of events and then getting people to know that you actually have a Facebook page in the beginning, and then just keep being very persistent. You get them to go and like your page, and then obviously when you start putting interesting stuff on your page, they then start to share it, and then their friends then start liking it. So it's a different conversation for a different day, but there is a strategy behind that. But it is pretty much organically grown, right?
So you don't believe in buying emailing lists and names and all that?
It's not for our business because we really need people. We don't need the entire country to know about us. That's why we're not on TV. That's why we're not on radio. I mean, we were on radio, but that's why we don't buy TV ads. That's why we don't buy radio ads, because we don't need to be on national TV or on national radio. It is important for us to know for our target customers or our target client base to know us. So it wasn't necessary for us to go out and just buy email lists or Facebook fans. Not at all.
Now, moving forward, is Playlor open for franchise opportunities or even partnerships overseas at this point in time? And what do you see Playlor in the next coming 5 years?
That's a good question. We actually are very much open to potential partners who are looking to basically grow a successful business model and a proven business model overseas. Our first geographic target outside of Singapore is obviously Southeast Asia, and then Pan Asia, before moving to other countries in the world. So we are open to interested franchisees who is interested in running what I really call a lifestyle business. Once you've gone through the starting is obviously the most difficult, but by working with us, we've been there, done that. We've built a 16,000 square feet location on our own with our own bare hands and more. So we know how to build and start this business in a different country or a different city. We already have strategies to launch in specific cities around Southeast Asia. So once we get the right partners knocking on our doors in those specific cities, we would then we would be able to readily roll out a plan to get started, and our partners literally could hit the ground running. The partners that we're looking for are not those who have experience in team building or experience in sport even. They just need to really like to have fun, and they have to be interested in putting people together to make them have fun with each other. That's the key thing, because that's what Playlor stands for. And what I strongly believe is once you find the right partner who loves to have fun and obviously takes the business seriously as well, then the potential is huge and the potential is immense. Because what we will do for our partners overseas is we will continue to be the knowledge center of the entire Playlor group of companies. We would push out new activities. We would help them with their client advice, or when their consultants have come across roadblocks with certain clients. We will be their first port of call. We will even readily fly down to whichever city it is to train them, and of course, if we had to help them in their client pitch as well, to get them started. So it is a very much hand-holding experience that we will give. We already have a huge list of leads in the cities that we are looking for, a list of leads of clients that we are targeting in different cities around Asia, around Southeast Asia specifically. So a potential franchisee of the Playlor business will not only have obviously startup manuals and training from the Playlor core staff, they would also have a list of pre-qualified leads, and all they literally need to do is really pick up the phone, arrange a meeting, go down, share the Playlor experience with them, and close the deal.
Wow. Yeah. Now speaking about fun, what was your most memorable and the most expensive event you ever hosted so far?
So the biggest event that we've held so far, there's quite a few, because most of our events now are in the hundreds. So the number of packs you'll be looking at 200 to 500 packs. So I wouldn't say any event is bigger than the other, because some events have smaller groups but it's a much bigger scale. Other events are bigger groups but much smaller scale.
What's the most expensive you've charged so far?
The most expensive that we have charged so far is a number that we will not be sharing, but it is. Let's just say it's not six figures yet. It is mid. Well, not quite, but it's 5 figures. Somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. No, just asking. But speaking about fun and moving forward, what would be the key lessons for any aspiring entrepreneur to actually take away from you? You share with us 3 points. Your success story as an entrepreneur and for a new startup. I mean, you have started just under 1 year, I suppose, and it's becoming a great brand. What's the secret behind it?
I think the first thing that this entrepreneur, the first skill that this entrepreneur needs to have is marketing, which includes branding. You need to have a good brand. You need to be able to tell people about your brand. You need to be able to tell your story to potential employees, to potential partners, to customers. So knowing who to market to, how to market, what to market, how to build your brand, I think it's it's definitely the most important thing. I think the second thing is making sure that your dream or your idea is big enough. Because if it's not big enough, it is again very difficult for you to then build that brand and to attract quality staff, quality employees to join your team and work for you. Obviously, if your dream is not big enough, then there's really no point in embarking on that business. And then third, of course, is to be to have flexibility in that plan, in that big dream. You need to be able to change your business direction whilst keeping the core values and the core mission of your business.